the tech leads. So let's start with the introduction to Git section. So what is Git? Git is a distributed version control system that enables teams of software engineers to collaboratively work on repositories of code. So what does that mean? That's the definition. Like, what does this all mean? There's two parts to this. There's the version control system, and then there's the collaboration part. So let's talk about each of these in detail. So first, we have the version control system. So let's use an analogy for this. Imagine you're writing a story. Every time you write or change something in your story, you save it as a new draft. After a few days, you might have multiple drafts. Each of these drafts represent a specific version of your story. So the key idea here is that each draft is a version of your story, and Git as a version control system keeps track of all these drafts of your story, allowing you to go back at any point. So now the collaboration part. Now imagine you're writing this story with, you're co-writing the story with a bunch of friends. Now each of you is making changes and additions. How do you ensure that everyone's changes are captured and nobody overwrites someone else's changes? Well, Git will handle this for you. And here's a big picture idea of how collaboration with Git works. You typically have a few local repositories. You have a centralized remote repository, typically GitHub or Bitbucket or one of those services. A local repository can then push code into the remote repository, and the rest of the local repositories can now pull these changes in from the remote repository. So to summarize, Git's features include backup and restoration of code, synchronization of code so multiple people can make changes, tracking of changes, undo operations so that you can go back to a previous version at any time. Okay, but how do we use Git? Well, in this workshop, we'll be using Git using the command line, but there are GUI programs that you can use, although we recommend using the command line until you're familiar with how it works. So some common commands you'll need to know, and don't worry, we'll go through this demo and we'll use all of these. Git clone copies the remote Git repository into your local repository. Git init creates a new Git repository from scratch. Git add adds selected files into your next saved version. More formally, it lets you stage files. And Git commit versions the files that you added before into through that Git add command into the new version of your code. So, and there's a couple more. There's Git push. It pushes your local changes to the remote repository, and Git pull pulls the remote changes into your local repository. And here's a visualization of how all of these work together. So you might do Git add to put some changes from your working directory into the staging area, and then you might commit those files into your local repository, and then you might push those files into the remote repository. And if there are changes in the remote repository, you can pull those in. But working with teams can get complicated. When you're working in big groups, you will all be working on the same repository. And if two people are trying to write to the same file, things can get a bit confusing. So in that case, we use branching. So when you create a branch, you're basically creating an isolated sandbox of the repository. This sandbox is isolated, so like whatever change you make here is it's not going to affect the main copy. And this makes collaboration a lot more seamless. And typically we use a branching strategy with these. So a common one is to create feature branches for a feature you're working on. And once you're done working on that feature, you can merge that into the master branch. Similarly, you can create a bug branch, and then once you fix the bug, you can merge it into the master branch. Here's a few commands that help with branching. So git branch will allow you to see the current branches. Git checkout with -b. Branch name will let you create a new branch with a given branch name. And git checkout without the -b branch name will let you switch to existing branches. So there's like the -b lets you create a branch if it doesn't exist. And if it already exists, then you want to use it without the -b. So you can switch into that branch. Okay, so let's talk about GitHub. It's different than Git. So what is GitHub? It's a leading web-based platform used for version control and collaboration, allowing users to manage, share, track changes in their software projects. Well, it sounds a lot like Git. That's because it's built around Git. It works in conjunction with local Git environments, enabling users to push and pull code between their local repositories into GitHub. And why do we want to use GitHub? Well, it's widely used for its collaboration-based features. That includes tracking changes, reviewing code, project management, and so on. Are there any questions at this point? If there are, just shout them out. Okay, let's talk about open source. When we say open source, we're usually referring to open source software. And open source software is software with source code that anyone can inspect and modify. It's designed to be publicly accessible and collaborative. And why would anyone want to open source their projects? Well, open source projects promote innovation and collaboration. They're often more secure, reliable, flexible than proprietary software. And that's because they're being continuously improved by a diverse community of contributors. And anyone can contribute to open source projects, regardless of their skill level. Contributions can include writing code, improving code, even designing graphics, writing documentation, and much more. And typically, when you're contributing to external repositories, you want to use some sort of Git flow. Typically, you use this following one where you create a feature branch, then you would do some work, do some commits, push it, then you would open a pull request, and you can discuss. This pull request will be reviewed by the code owners, and they might tell you to change some things. And once they're satisfied, they will approve it, and then you can merge it in. And now I'll pass it to Ido for the Git workshop demo.
Just to reiterate, guys, we have snacks for you here. So if you came in late and you want some snacks, feel free to just get up, grab some. We also have some stickers for you. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into like a hands-on demo. First of all, who here has a GitHub account? Okay, yeah, so a couple of people. So I'll just really quickly show you how to create one. I'm already signed in, so I'll just go into incognito. So I go into github.com, like here, and this is the homepage if you're not signed in. And you see this sign up button, like right here. Yeah. So you just click that, and you just fill in your information. They have like a cool intro because they're like working, but yeah, you just fill in your information and follow the sign up process. It's pretty straightforward. So if everyone who doesn't have an account already, just do that. If you do have an account, please just log in, get everything ready. And we're going to be using GitHub primarily for this workshop. So it's important you have an account. And you will need to create one eventually if you're just in CS or just interested in open source contributions. So it's good to just create one now. So yeah, if you want to follow along, just real quickly, just create one, verify your email, and then you should be set. And yeah, if you have any questions along the way, just raise your hand and one of us will come to you.
Can we go over the Git installation?
Yeah, can you like just open up Git on your laptop and you're gonna connect your laptop? Do you have HDMI or no?
USB-C.
USB-C? I don't know if they support it. No, it's fine. I was gonna demo like you creating a PR from my repository, but I guess it's fine. Just gonna. Okay, I'm just preparing everything.
Oh, it's not on the same page.
Yeah, like this is 2 windows, so I can like set the next slide up before I do this. Okay, so once you have an account, you're gonna go to the home page. and you're going to be seeing something like this. Mine is a bit more populated because I already have repositories and I follow people, but yours is just going to be something like this. So you're going to see here your repositories on the left, and you're going to see like the top bar with navigations. The main thing we're going to do today is press on new. So that would create a new repository where multiple people can work on your code, but you're the owner of the repository. So the main thing here is the name and the access. So we want it public so everyone can work on our code. It's open source. Everyone can view it. We'll go over like permissions and stuff briefly later. But yeah, if you make it public, everyone can view your code. So just for myself, I'm just going to do my first repo. And you see, I don't have any other repository named my first repo. So it's letting me create it. We can create the description. Wow. Git is very cool. Right, guys? Yeah, okay. And we can also initialize it with a README file. A README file is just an instruction file that lets anyone visiting your repository know what the repository is about. We can create like a brief description. You can also add installation instructions, anything about the repository that you want to show to a person who hasn't heard of your repository yet. That should probably go in the README. Okay, license, we don't need to worry about licensing. They're a bit complicated. There's a link here to learn more about open source licenses. Usually when you do work on open source, you want the license here so no one like uses your code unlawfully. But generally it's fine for now if you don't have a license. I have a bit of apps here. It doesn't matter. It's just here for me, but I don't think you're going to see this. So the main thing you have to check is the repository name, something appropriate, something you want to name your repository. Description is probably useful to have just a short description to let people know what your repository is about. And then make it public so anyone can work on the code and create a README file. So has everyone got to this page? Yeah? Yeah? Is anyone facing any issues? You can just raise your hand, let us know. No? Perfect. Okay. So once you're done, you can press create repository. And GitHub will create a repository initiated in the remote. So now it created kind of like a folder on their servers on the cloud with my code. I didn't really make any code yet, but this is where my code will go. So the next logical thing to do is to get it on my machine. I want to replicate the code on here on my machine. So I'm just going to press on code, and you see this clone thing. I'm just going to copy this link, okay? So now the next thing we're going to do is install Git. So we're just going to do git install. And you see we have the software here. We can just click on the tutorial, and it shows you how to install it for your system. So if everyone can just Google git install, visit the first result, and it should bring you to this page and just follow it for your system. It's a bit different on Linux or Macs, but generally you just want to download a file from here. And yeah, it's just a straightforward setup with an installer. I already have it installed, but I will just show you how the setup works. Here we go. You just download the file.
If you're on Mac, you probably already have it because I think it comes by default. So just double check.
Yeah. To double check, you can open your terminal and just type git help, and that should pop up with a help menu. So it will ask me for admin permissions. You can allow it. It's not a virus. Oh, I don't think you can see it, but it's like the Windows pop-up for admin permissions. So you just click OK, and it's going to pop up with an installer. So it's pretty standard installer. You just click on the license, press install. I already have it installed, so I'm just going to show you how it's going to work. It's probably just going to update. So yeah, it's removing my previous Git version. It's going to update my Git.
So there is a few options, like you probably want to select it so that it works in and all that.
Sorry?
There's a few options, and you probably want to make sure it works in CMD and PowerShell, so you need to select an option for that.
Yeah, there's the path. I think it's after this. So we'll just go over that after this is done. So is everyone following along? Did everyone find the Git installation webpage? Is everyone having trouble finding this page? No? Okay. Has everyone downloaded the package yet? Yes? If you're having any problems, any difficulties, I know some systems are different, so just raise your hand. Yeah?
So when choosing the default editor, like, which one do you suggest? Because now it's like my own or whatever, like post video and stuff. Like it shows you Vim because it's using Vim.
Just change it over to, I don't know, Notepad. Or use an editor. I already did this. To be fair, it doesn't really matter too much.
No, I just typed in Git, ensure that I have it installed.
What did you guys end up doing? Anything else?
Yes.
Wasn't there like options back in the thing?
Yeah, why did it not show up for you?
Oh, because I pressed only show new options. It's okay. Yeah,
Maybe we can give it some more time because people are still installing.
yeah. So I'm just gonna give you 5 more minutes. It's a bit different for me because I only have it installed.
No.
But generally, if you see like an option for path, you should select it. But you can make it work without it as well.
That's it, the only changes was changing it from Vim to Nano.
Okay.
Because that might be easier, and also making sure that instead of using it in the min-gw command window, like the Windows terminals.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, my friend is actually sometimes.
So if anyone's having any problems, just raise up your hand.
Like hit the side.
I mean, I prefer Chris because Chris is my name, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, I used to joke in high school that.
You can do this step one item. Yeah.
But,
Okay.
so this is not funny.
Yeah. So just go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, yours is
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, go back.
Yep.
Let me just double check. Yeah, so Nano, get the side, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. The only thing is change it over to default console window. And then everything.
Like this? Yeah, this is good. You're good. I'll show you the best item.
It should be fine. It should make it much better. But in general, if you have a long computer, so just next time, just normally select.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And yeah, feel free to grab more snacks if you want. We have snacks for you. Stickers, everything. Can you get the stickers? Yeah, sure.
Actually did it.
Just double check it's installed. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think most people have it.
Okay. So we're gonna move forward now. If you don't have it installed, please raise up your hand so someone can help you. And yeah. So once you're done with the setup, you can just close it. You don't need to view this stuff. It's all just garbage. We don't need it. Okay. So the next part is opening the CMD, the command prompt. So if you don't know how to open it, you can just press search and then press CMD, type CMD, and it will show you command prompt. Okay. So generally, you can do this in any folder you like. I just moved it to documents because I wanted to do it in documents, but you can do it anywhere. And you can just write git in the shell to make sure you have git installed. Okay. And for the record, I'm using git version 2.42.0. Okay, so just double check the version. If it's slightly different, it's fine. And yeah, so now we're ready to clone the repository. So git, the thing we just installed, will allow us to clone this repository in our local machine. So if I copy this URL again, I think I already had it copied, but just double check you have it copied. And you go back to the terminal and you do git clone and you paste it. So what this will do, it will create a new folder in my documents folder. So you see here it says documents. This is my current working directory. And this command will create a new folder that's linked to the folder in the cloud. So I can work on my code locally and I can just push it to Git. If you remember from the slideshow, we can go over it again later. I can push my changes to Git on this repository. So I'll show you how that works. But first thing you need to do is clone it. So you just press enter once you type this, and it will start cloning. It might ask you for username password. I don't think it will ask you for username password in this case, or not just yet because the repository is public. But if it does, just enter your GitHub username and password. And this might come up in future steps where it asks you for username and password. Just enter it really quickly, and you should be good to go. Okay, so if everyone can just clone their own repository, that would be amazing. Okay, so now if I go to my first repo, I have this repository, and if I do ls, or Windows is there, I can see my README file. So make sure you can see your README file or whatever file you put in there when you go into the repository. So this is my local copy of the repository. So now I'll go to my File Explorer documents. Yeah, so Okay, so if I go to like my documents and I go to the path I specified here, in this path, I will see my files here as well. Okay? Does that make sense to everyone? All I did is I copied the files over from here into my local machine. So now I can make changes to the code for myself.
Yeah, can you use PowerShell just so the commands are the same on Windows and like macOS?
Yes, that will probably be a good idea.
Yeah, just use the terminal app, but just switch over to PowerShell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for everyone on Windows, I would recommend using PowerShell.
You wanna go ahead?
Okay.
It's just installed by default, and it's like better than command prompt.
Okay. Oh. So yeah, this is universal commands for everyone. If you use PowerShell on Windows, this should work for you as well. If you use Mac, these commands are the same. Hopefully. I want you to show them how to fork, and I want you to show them how to like create a PR, like as if you were contributing to mine. So you just create a file with your name and introduction.
Yeah.
Like your introduction. So everyone should create a file, like their own file with their own name.
Yeah.
And then commit it.
Okay. So send me a link to your repository.
It's my first week. Okay. Probably like my first report is gonna be here. Yeah. There you go. And we can sign in chat later. Okay, so is everyone caught up so far? LS just shows me the files in my current working directory. So in this case, it's my repository. Yeah. So I've already done it on my machine, so I'm not going to clone it again. But what you need to do is git clone and then your URL, okay? And your URL is from here. You press on code and then copy. You copy this URL and then you paste it into the PowerShell. Is that good? Okay, perfect. I'm just going to close this. So this is what Facebook.
You can try your. You're running a lot We got projects going on right now, so we did like the first version class. Unless isn't working because you're on time, so try to get that. Right now, so we can finish our sprint.
Okay, so.
I took mine. Or just type like PowerShell 17.
No, I
And then also. Android.
We went through some hard 4 times era. We're better because of it. That's actually and it was like, this whole purpose is you see your body. It's like, this on the application. Yeah, he was literally on location Yeah, for you can do it. Have a bunch of $100. Bro.
Okay, we're gonna move forward now. So make sure you have this in the Explorer window or Finder if you're on Mac. And all you need to do is create a new file. I want to create a text file, so just text document. And I'm just going to name it. So my name is Ido. So I'm going to call it Ido, my last name. And I'm going to just finish. That's the name of the file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write about myself right here in the text file. So I'm editing my idobenchaim.txt. So I'm going to write, I am Ido and I love Git. Okay, and then I'm going to save it. So you see here it's saved. On Mac it's slightly different, but yeah, it's just a text editor. All you need to do is open a file. And this is meant to just simulate your code. Usually you would be working on code, but we're not going to teach you how to code in this workshop because we don't have time for that. Like, so this will be your code for now. Okay, just pretend this is code. Yeah. So you write whatever you want in here. This is your playground. And once you're done, you save this, and you go back to the terminal. And once I do git status, I should see my new file that is like new here. I should see that this is changed. It's red. It's untracked because it's new and Git is not aware of this. Okay. So can everyone just get to this stage, create your file, write something about yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, create a profile.
And again, if you have any questions, just raise it. Okay. Oh, so you can do cat, so C A O, and then the text will contain the text packet.
Yeah. I'm not
We
really.
can save the file. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Just you can press the L.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't receive any notifications. I only get it from Team Snapchat. Like, everywhere else is a filter. Yes, but then I stopped because my philosophy teacher said, I can't believe like you guys do streaks and stuff. You're explaining how this is why like it's not. And I was like, okay, I'm convinced. I'll stop doing it.
Yeah.
Why do you?
So this is C the text file. So I think you'll.
So I just do it so that I can.
Oh, I see.
So
Maybe I should start doing that. So I do this.
this is your OneDrive. If you want some
I mean, there's stories, but
yeah. So this is different location. Yeah, I'm just following this location.
I did that so many times. So it's black screen. You notice? I wrote that whole essay on
It's
Yeah.
over the internet.
something. But the boss account was like this. Because it goes
So it has it kind of has
yeah. I'll try to do it.
No, I didn't. I just have it started. It says unlocked.
Oh.
Have you ever seen a Windows computer without a pad?
Yes.
Oh.
And I found a way to open it. It still has not just like
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have one?
Yeah, I don't know that's possible.
Oh. Yes, you can edit it from like okay, so we're just gonna move on just because we're kind of short on time. So what we want now is we want Git to be able to track changes on its file. So we're going to do git add and then dot. Dot is just referring to the current directory. It will add all these changes. So in this case, we only have one change. You can also specify the file you want to track. But in this case, I just want to track everything. So I'm just going to do git add dot. And it should just be like that. It's not going to say anything. It's just going to add it. So if I do git status again, it's green now. I added a new file and it's tracking changes on there. Git add just tracks the changes in this file. So if I change this file again, it's going to track the change. It's going to be aware of it. Otherwise, Git just ignores it and it's like, oh, it's not my responsibility. You never added this file. I do not care about this file, okay?
Yeah.
This is your responsibility. This is on your machine. Don't like involve me with this file. But then when I say, oh, add it, now it's like, oh, now this file is important. I want to care about this.
Yeah. Another way to think about it is adding it to the new draft that we're making. So from the slideshow.
Okay, so the next step would be committing it. So if you learn from the slideshow, yeah, we briefly described about git commit. So committing it just says, oh, the current state of my project. Just make a copy of that. Make a note of that. That way I can revert back to it. I can go back to whatever, like if I mess something up, I can go back a few commits and everything is saved there. So that's a very big benefit of Git. And that way I can also work with other people. They can see what I changed, what I did. So it's very powerful in this commit system. You can like stack commits on top of each other, merge. We'll briefly go over that later. But just know that commit just tracks the current changes in your system. So to commit, what we do is git commit, and we can specify a message. So my first commit, and we can do added intro file. This is just a message, so I am aware of what I did. If I try to reference this later, I know what this commit changed. It's really helpful to make descriptive commits that tell you what you did. Try to keep them short, so if you're like looking at a glance, you know what it is. But yeah, this is just for you. So once you do that, it adds it. It tags the commit, and you see it says one file changed, and I added a new file. So this is the file changed, and I added it. So that checks out, everything seems legit. And now if you notice, if I go back to the repository, it's not there yet. There's one last step that we're missing. It's not like the file is not there yet. So what we need to do to push it to the source, to the repository, we have to do git push. And if it hasn't asked you to log in yet, it will ask you to log in now. But yeah, now if I go back to the repository, it should all be there and everyone can view my code, my commit history, and like that. So this is really nice. When you want to just work on stuff but don't share it yet, you just want to try stuff out, you make commits, you save the version history, but you don't want to push it yet. You don't want everyone to see it. It's not ready. And when you're ready, you can push it. So that system is really nice. So you can see I have here my commit message and here my file. So if I go into the file, you're going to see the content I put there. I already forgot what I put there, but I do love Git. So there we go. So this is your first repository, this is your first commit. You can give yourself a thumbs up if you've done this. This is the basis for everything in Git. It's very important to be familiarized with this. And if you forget, you can always Google, Git command cheat sheet or something like that. And there's a ton of resources online. It's not too hard to just remember the main ones. So if you go here, there's like the main ones. So let's just say I want to create a repository or clone one. Status. These are like not that relevant, but you can always go here and just see what you want to do and just reference this later. So yeah, this is your first repository. So now we're just going to go a bit over PRs and contribution with others, okay? So if everyone can open this URL, so this is my repository. I want you to specifically contribute to my repository. I want you to just record your attendance and just show that you've been here, you've been participating. Just add like a nice message on this. So I want you to go to this repository, okay? This is the link right there. Let me type that out real quickly.
Yeah, that's 5Gs.
Yeah, 5Gs. That's my username. Do you want to demo that part?
If I could connect my, I actually have this.
Oh, you have this? That's perfect. Yeah.
So let's try this.
Discord people, I'm sorry that you're not going to be able to see the next part. All we're going to do is open a PR on this repository. So we will include some resources on how to do that later.
It is a bit quirky though, so hopefully this works.
Okay. So we're going to show you the other side of things. So let's just say you're a developer and you want to do my repository and you want to help me out. We will show you his perspective on how to help my repository. Okay? And you're going to copy what he does to my repository.
Let's see if it
Is it working?
We probably need to change the settings.
Change the settings.
Oh, no, it is working.
It is working? Perfect.
Okay. Should we just wait for the question?
We're kind of out of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so very quickly,
Oh, okay.
If I want to contribute to his repository, the first thing I'll do is I'm going to fork it. And that's basically creating a copy of his repository in my GitHub. So it's very simple. You click on the fork button here. So just click here. Then it's going to take you to this similar looking page when we were creating a repository. I can also call it my first repository and keep everything the same. I'm copying the main branch, so make sure this is saved. I'll wait for you guys to. Did everyone click on fork? Sorry?
No. So if you go to the page,
I'll go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll click on fork, and I can zoom in a bit. I'll click on fork, and it should take you to this page.
So is that one here? You're gonna fork my repository. Yeah. Okay. So just make sure you can get to this page. If you
Yeah.
can get to this page,
Give me a thumbs up if you're here.
Oh.
I'll just give a minute.
Oh, this is your repository. Yeah. And then you can move it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna create this fork. So you'll see here it's forking the repository. Gonna take a few seconds. And now in my account, it forked this repository from Edo. So you'll see that it's under my username and it says fork from Edo's account. So now what I can do is I can clone this on my side. So I'll go to code again and local. Select the URL just like you did when we created our own repository. So copy this URL. And I'll go in terminal. So let me zoom this terminal in. So I'm also going to go into my documents folder. So CD documents. I always just like doing a quick ls. Now I'm going to clone it here. So git clone this. Then I'm going to do an ls again and cd into my first repo. Git cd this. Okay, let's do an ls here. Let's do a clear. Okay, so I just have this repository that Edo created and made changes into on my machine. So now I want to make some changes into this repository as well. I'm just going to open it in VS Code or some code editor because that might be simpler. So let's open up Visual Studio Code or any code editor of your choice. If you know how to use Vim, you can use that too. It'll probably be faster. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I already have a project open here. So I'm going to open up the project that we just cloned. Let's go to Documents, My First Repo. I'm going to open it up. And
just for the record, if you don't have VS Code, you can just use the file system, just create a new file.
yeah,
He's just using VS Code because it's more convenient for him. But feel free to just use what we used so far, which is just the file system and just creating a new file. It's the same thing.
yeah, you can either open it here. You can also use the touch command to create the file in the terminal. Yeah, there's many ways. So I'm just going to create a new file here. So I'm just going to right click, new file. I'm going to put in my name. Shahid.txt. And yeah, I'll put something about myself. I'm Abdullah, and I also love Git. Okay, cool. Let's save this in. Let's go back to our terminal. And actually, I'm going to give you guys a minute to write that down.
So just to reiterate, all I did was clone my repository or his fork of my repository. So you just copy the URL of the new repository, the fork from me, and you just clone it locally and add a new file. Yeah.
Let me put it up.
Yeah. Go cd.com. Yeah.
Here, so that's the URL.
Yeah, okay.
That's 5Gs. 5G is my first repo. It's case sensitive. Yep.
Yeah, and now you can see
Yeah, you can put something in.
clone command of like PowerShell, or you can add to ls. It's the same thing. No, this is cool. And then just
CD to the.
And my first,
My first CD. Yeah, that's fine. And now, you'll do, that's what we are, you want to. You don't have to use Discord, you can just open it in the file system and put it that time.
It's saved in my.
Yeah. Oh, it's really useful for that. Yeah. Go one up. Wait, this is not the. Oh, yeah.
What do you have me protecting us so much?
Yeah. And then just, how to go actually,
TST text.
fine, it's like, it takes long, just leave me the file, and so we just kind of, and you only,
Git commit /m.
yeah. And then what you need to do is go ahead and push it, I think he's gonna go over that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so let's say you have. Has everyone made a file that they want to push? Okay,
No.
so let's do a git status here. And you'll see that this is red. That means it's not added yet into the staging area. So we want to track this one because we just added it. So again, we'll use git add. Git add, and then the file name. I like using the file name and being explicit, but you can also use a dot to select everything. So just enter that in. And now if you do git status again, you'll see that it's green. That means it's staged. Now you can make a commit. So git commit, same syntax as before. I can put in created Abdullah file or something, and I can commit it. And you'll see that this one file change, one insertion. Now I want to push this into my fork copy. So I'll do git push again. So you'll see that it's pushed. So just push the file that you just made, and then we'll go from there. So I'll give you guys like 30 seconds or a minute.
Sorry. Did you make your file?
Yeah.
No, like, did you make the new file that has your name on it?
No, just git push.
We need to do that. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
what
from
do
the
you-
new file.
I'm not sure why I didn't.
Did you clone that from your,
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
your board?
I think they have, right?
And then
Yeah, so
go to
you-
function.
No, it's done.
Type in, well, PowerShell.
So this is just over time, I hope that's fine.
Type C.
Yeah, just do it here, link with me, and then I'll go for our side. Very.
Okay. So I just pushed. Here's my repo that I forked. Let's refresh this. You'll see that my changes are here. Let's go to Ido's repo. My changes are not here. They're in my repository that I forked from his. So these two repositories right now are separate. They're not the same. I created a fork of it, right? So I want to give these changes to Ido. So how do I do that? I need to open up a pull request, and then Ido can review that pull request and determine whether he wants to accept it or not. So let's just quickly do that. Pull request. How to do for the fork ones. Okay. So if you just go to the pull request tab. Once you're here, click on new pull request. So just clicking here, it'll say it has the source or the destination as the base repository as Edo's repository. That's what we want. And we want to push main, push it into main of his. So just make sure it kind of looks like that. This one should be yours. This one should be Edo's. And then you can create the pull request. Okay. Create pull request. You typically put a detailed message of what you did. I can say I added my file, and then I can create a pull request. And now it made this PR, and now Edo will see it on his end.
Yeah. So we're just gonna switch back to my view. Sorry for all the switching. Okay, is it showing? What is it showing?
It's showing. Okay.
Oh,
here now.
there we go. Okay. Just really quickly, we're going to go to my first repo. Okay, so now if I refresh the page, I'm going to see pull request, and then I'm going to see a new pull request. Oh, there's 3 new pull requests. Perfect. You guys are fast.
Yeah. So.
Getting everyone I'm trying to push.
Yeah. Just,
continue.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm just going to approve Abdullah's for now. Just as an example, because that's what it did. I can see all the changes it did, and I can review it. So I can make, I can request changes, or I can just say, wow, this looks amazing. So in this case, this looks amazing to me. So I will approve the pull request, and I'll say looks amazing. Or in the software lingo, what we usually do is we say looks good to me, which is LGTM. It's just the lingo we use, and I submit the review. Okay, so now that I approved it, I am free to merge it into my repository. So I accept the changes into my repository by pressing merge and confirm merge. So you can't follow this because it's my repository. So from your end, it's just going to look at the PR, and you're going to see me merge it. So now if I go back to my code, you'll see I now have Abdullah's changes in my code. So this is the gist of how to contribute to external repositories. So is everyone good with that? Yeah. Okay, so I will accept your changes later, and you'll see it later tonight in my repository. But we do have to move forward with the competition. So we do have a competition this year. We're running it every year, I think for like the last 3 years now. So it's called OSI, or Open Source Initiative. So the idea of Open Source Initiative is to encourage contributions to student-run projects in the university. So we have a bunch of student projects that professors and students use at the moment, and we want to improve them. So that's where you come in. You go in and you make contributions. You open issues, which is basically a bug report or like a feature request, and then you fix it. So you have to score as many points as possible, and we'll go over the point system later. But you have to score as many points as possible, and then you will win some cool prize. I promise there'll be prizes. Okay? So I'll just go over the projects available to you to contribute. And these are all on GitHub. I'll post this in the GDSC Discord, including the slideshow and the recording of this workshop. So the first one is Via Planner. So I know if you guys have used the university's planner to plan your courses, it's not that good. Can we give that? Yeah. So this project was meant to solve that. I'm a big fan of this. I helped make some of the issues and solve them. I did in PPRs. So I think this project is amazing, and I encourage you to try it out. Try to work on it. Take on an issue. Help improve the user experience for future students and yourself. So just help people plan their timetable better. The next one is Hacker Booking. This is a new project created by Nia Jackson, who was here earlier. And this is meant to be a room booking. It was created originally to book a room called the Hacker. I don't know if you've seen it around DH. It's a pretty cool room, and we want to let students book it and just interact with the room, and just let clubs book it in student groups. So this is that, and we want to improve it this year. We want to make it more usable for other rooms. So I really encourage you to check this out. Try to contribute to it. We have some new issues for you available. And yeah, if you can solve it, you get points. Oh yeah, thank you. And the next one is poll voting system. This is something that we used in 108 lectures last year. Danzigo, I think, is going to use it again for 209 this year. And yeah, this is essentially a participation polling kind of style of thing. If you use Mathematize, it's kind of like the same thing, but CS version. So yeah, it's meant to encourage participation with polls in Classroom. So if you want to open that, I would highly recommend that. Danzigo is officially endorsing it. So I would recommend you check this out. And if you're interested, thank you. Now, course of action, this is kind of like a course planner. You can plan out your future courses, your current courses. It can flex your syllabus and keep track of your marks. And yeah, it's a pretty cool project. I recommend you check it out. Currently, the website is down for it, but we're planning to put it back up. So stay tuned for that. And also, by the way, if you want to use this project for yourself, feel free to. They're just you don't have to contribute to it to use these projects. They're just made by students for you guys. And the next one is yeah, we can skip the video. It's just kind of a marking something. And then the next one is the GDSC web. We need people to work on it because it's a lot of moving parts, and we want people to contribute to it. Maybe make it more personalized. If something's bothering you with the design, something you can create an issue and improve it. We also have some existing issues that we can work on and fix on the website. So yeah, I would recommend helping us create a website. Yeah.
If I contribute to the website, can I be listed like under the website contributor or something?
I think so. Ask action. This is Jian. She's the biggest lead. She knows better than me.
No.
She's the president. Yeah. Yeah. This is a really cool addition this year. This is a new project this year. So our ex-president last year, Shub, and he worked at Red Hat. He has his PY at Red Hat. If you're familiar with that company, they make open source software. So they allowed us to allow you guys to work on this project. It's an open source. And I would really encourage you to check this out. It's a bit more technically involved, and the issues are a bit harder to solve because it is a professional software that is used by thousands of people. I think it has like what, 17,000 installs per week. So it's a pretty popular software. And Shub, the ex-president, he's signing it this year. So I would encourage you to check it out. It's pretty cool, especially if you are for a challenge. And last but not least, I made a demo repository. So I know many of you are first years, and like these repositories might be a bit hard to work on, especially if you're new to Git. So this is a very basic Python repository. If you're familiar with Python, it should be a breeze to work on. So we're making it half as many points as the other ones because it is easier to get contributions and points on this one. But it's going to be beginner friendly. There's a lot of easy issues to work on. And I would really encourage you to get started with that and not be intimidated by all the like Node.js code if you're not familiar with it. So if you want an introduction to Git, to open source, you want low stakes, this is it. Okay?
Awesome.
Okay, so now just a bit about the point system. So if you open an issue and it gets approved by the maintainers of the repositories, you automatically get 10 points. So you don't even need to fix the issue. All you need to do is, oh, I want this new feature on this repository. And you just write that down in the repository. There's an issue start, and you can just write down a new issue. That's 10 points. Easy. If you can fix the issue, that's another 20 points. And if you open and merge a PR, regardless if that fixes an issue or not, you get an additional 5 points. So if you open an issue, fix the issue, and merge it into main, you get 35 points. Okay? But if you can't fix the issue, that's fine. Other people might want to fix it. So you can just open the issue, and that's a really easy way to get points. I would really recommend you interact with the repositories, try to get the code working, and see if you can improve something in the code base. And yeah, if you notice something's wrong, just open an issue. That's the easiest way to get started. I would really recommend you go over the repositories. Questions? Yes.
How can I find like the list of like the projects and like maintenance?
Okay, so I will have this recording up if you need to review like
all the projects at a glance. I would also post the list in Discord just as a message with all the links, so it's easier to access in one place. And yeah, also the point system. And there will be prices. We have not determined what they are yet, but last year they were really, really good. So I would recommend you give it a good shot. What? Am I allowed to say?
You can, I mean,
Okay. Last year we gave out the Google Home Mini. So if you want a Google Home Mini, I'm not saying there is a Google Home Mini this year. I don't know, they didn't tell me. Okay? But if you want to get a really good price, like get as many points as possible and it's yours. Okay? And it's not as hard as you think. Once you get a taste for it, once you try it out, play the few PRs, you get used to it. You get used to the workflow and it comes natural. It makes sense. Okay? So there's really no better way to try it out and learn than just doing it yourself. Okay, so that's it for me. If you have anything else to add, any questions? Yeah.
Individual
Sorry.
or to solve the issues. So are we supposed to do individually or group?
You can do it as a group. I'm not sure how we will do it with points. You can just decide for yourself how you want to split the points. You can do co-offered PRs and commits if you want to Google how to do that. We won't teach you that here. We don't have time for that. But yeah, you can work on it together. And yeah.
All those are depending on this Saturday. So
We're starting now. Just now. This very moment. We're starting now. If you make an issue right now, you will conflict, okay? But officially we go from now until January. I will make a proper announcement about it for people who want in this workshop.
So if okay, how many issues? I have a lot of issues.
As many as you want. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how can I calculate my point? Do I calculate it by myself, or do you tell me how, like, do you record it, or how?
We will record it on a spreadsheet. I will try to keep it updated, but the thing about Git is that all the history is kept. So I can just go back and look at it. So I will keep it updated. It will definitely be updated by the end. But like every once a week, maybe I will update it and I will make it public for you to see.
So I create the issue and I will send to you guys. How it works.
I will just see that you created an issue and I will just keep it down. You don't need to tell me anything. I can just see it.
Oh, okay. I need to put on.
Yeah, you just have to create on the repository, and once a week I'll just look at all the repositories and see if there's any changes, any new issues, any new commits, any new PRs, and I will mark that down. Yeah.
Do the projects have existing lists of issues?
Yes, most of them do. We will also add more as the thing goes on, as the whole
Is
cycle
it
goes
like
on.
in your repository itself?
Yes, so I can just go over a quick example of one of the projects. Specifically Via Planner, because I'm in love with that project. It's an amazing project, guys. Not biased here. Via Planner. GitHub. So I'll post the links for that later. But you see, we have 24 issues. That's a lot. So if you can't solve most of the issues, you can probably solve at least one of these. Like some of these are really easy. You can add a change log, for example. And that's really, really easy. You only need to add a text file and you get the same amount of points. So it's kind of unbalanced in a way. Sometimes it's just really easy. And if you're fast, you can just pick this up really quickly and get the points.
Yeah, you can do it now.
For example, if I want one taste, if I have an previous.
Yeah, so if you want the issue assigned to you, all you have to do, hey, I want to work on this issue. Seems really cool, right? And you comment, right? I'm not going to comment it because I want you guys to try it. But once you do, as the project maintainer, I can assign people here and we'll just assign it to you so you work on the issue and no one else is going to work on it. But generally, if it's not assigned to anyone, you can just make a PR. You don't have to comment. I do recommend you comment on it so we know you're working on it and like no one else works on it, and then like two people try to do the same change and you just accept the first one or the better one. And yeah, but yeah, you can just work on it. You can also leave comments. You can ask questions. Like if you don't understand the issue, you're like, oh, what's the change though? I can just add a comment. It's not that formal. You don't need like formality or anything. It's just quick text. And yeah. So if you have any questions, let us know. You can also, if you remember anything, you can message us on Discord. We're very active on that.
Wait on Discord.
What?
Wait on Discord.
So we have this amazing Discord server. If you're not in there yet, I would recommend you go to the Discord server. You can get the invite from our Instagram.
Like everything.
Yeah, you can also just Google GDC UTM and Discord. So we have amazing channels here, like Pick Up a Chat, which is basically general, and you can just ask whatever. We also have dedicated channels for all our events if you want to ask something specific here.
Where's the VIA plan?
VIA Planner, I will post a link for that in the Discord. So make sure you're in the Discord. It's really, really important that you're in the Discord if you want to interact with us. That's why.